Jen here with a layout for the Wild Whisper design team. I am going to work on a traveler's notebook layout today and make some of my own embellishments. So I thought I would go ahead and pull out the floral stamp set. I also pulled out the sweater weather stamp set to get some of the leaves that I wanted to use, and the Happy Tails stamp set. I don't use the Happy Tails stamp set on this particular layout, but you'll see why I've pulled it out in a second. But because it's a traveler's notebook layout, I'm trying to limit the amount of dimension I add by not having too many embellishments that are thick. And so I'm trying to, be strategic about how I add some fun and some interest to every layout without adding a ton of layers and wood veneer and enamel dots and all that kind of stuff. You'll see here, this traveler's notebook isn't too chunky, but there are still some layouts left that I have to complete. And so it has the potential to get a little bit chunkier. And so I'm always trying to just be strategic that way and not add dimension if I can find a more creative way to kind of bring some interest. So I'm going to start by adding these cards. The two cards that I put on the left-hand side are from Focus on You. The card up at the top is from the Floral collection. And then this card as well, I think, is from, well, I can't remember if it's the Floral collection or Focus on You. It could be either one of them. But they were just 4 cards that I kind of had at the top of my little kit of Wild Whisper stuff. I thought they worked, and that's what I went with. So no real rhyme or reason to that. I'm documenting some glasses that I got back in 2018 that are sort of the anti-glare glasses because the lights and everything were bothering my eyes from being on the computer all day long. So that's all the picture is. It didn't really have a particular theme. I probably could have pulled out some of my glass eyewear wood veneer that I have, and I do have a couple stamps, but I'm quite happy with this kind of being just really fun and muted background, and then letting my little homemade embellishments stand out. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm creating my own little embellishments with some watercolors. Well, they're not really watercolors, I guess. They're the Tim Holtz Distress Oxide inks, and then the stamps. So the very first thing I did before I even started putting the cards together is I went ahead and smushed some of the oxides onto some white cardstock. I just kind of let the ink pad sit, and then I twist it a little bit, and that gives enough ink, enough saturation of ink, that then you can go ahead and spray it with lots of water and let those colors kind of run and flow. I know this paper, and so I don't put any gesso down because I know kind of how much water it can handle. And also because these are embellishments that I knew I would be fussy cutting, I wasn't too worried about the warping and bending or anything like that, because you wouldn't really see that for the size of the embellishments themselves. But if you were worried, you could go ahead and put some gesso down first and then do this. And then when you spray the water, it really will flow and they'll move. The one thing that I've noticed about adding gesso is that the oxides take a very long time to dry because they're more opaque and they kind of sit on top of the surface of whatever you're putting them on. They already take a long time to dry, but when you start to add water and you have gesso kind of covering the paper so it's not as porous, they really take a long time. So just keep that in mind so that you don't kind of get impatient waiting for them, but definitely add the gesso if you feel like your paper needs it. I didn't. I went ahead and smushed it. I used the blue, the green, and the yellow first because I knew those colors would blend together, and kind of just let those all run and mix, and then set that to the side to dry. So while it's drying, I'm just working on some other stuff there. I used the oxides to kind of create a little bit of a border around the edges of my layout to bring in all of these beautiful colors that I'm using. And then now that they've mostly dried, I'm going to smush the pink and the purple. I'm not using any of the color names. Sorry, I think it's Cracked Pistachio, Peacock Feathers, Seedless Preserves, worn lipstick, and maybe mustard seed or lemon. No, something with lemon is the yellow. Those are the colors. But the purples and the pinks don't mix quite as nicely with the yellow and green. The pink does a little bit, but the purple sometimes could get muddy. So I waited until everything was mostly dry before adding those. That's a really good tip. You can definitely add colors that aren't known for blending together and might potentially make some mud. You can add all of those colors into this kind of background creation that I have here, but let them dry in between, and then that way they don't fully blend and create that brown mud. They'll kind of sit on top of each other a little bit more. So that's why I did it in the two sections. So once I had those down, I also splashed a bunch of Heidi Swapp Color Shine in gold all over as well and let that completely dry. And once that was dry, I've just taken out my stamp sets and away I go. So I started with the flowers because those were my focus. I wanted to make sure that I got all the flowers kind of stamped in all the prettiest color zones that I had there, in all the little spots where the colors kind of mixed and blended, and wanted to make sure that I had the colors that I needed for my layout. And then just to make sure I wasn't wasting any of those colors, wasting any of that mixed media that I did, I pulled out the Sweater Weather stamp set and decided to do some leaves. And then I also did the Happy Tails hearts. They kind of are hearts, but they're in lines. And so when you stamp them down, then I just cut with a little bit of a border around it. I think they look so pretty. And so I just filled the rest of the page up with those. And it just gave me a little bit of extra embellishments that I could add into my kits, and something to do today. I actually fussy cut them today, even though I did this layout a while ago. I brought them to work today and just fussy cut out all the pieces that I didn't use on the layout. And I love that. So definitely a tip, if you're going to take the time to do all the mixed media and pull everything out, let it all dry properly, pull out your stamps, you might as well just cover the whole page and then do a bunch of stamping. And as you have time, you can go ahead and fussy cut those elements out, or as you think about needing them, you can fussy cut them out. So that's what I went ahead and did. And so here for my layout, I'm pulling out a few of the little rosettes that I can make 3 little clusters with. And I kind of went more for the yellows and pinks and purples in the flowers because I thought they were a really nice contrast to the blues that I chose in my cards. And then the leaves are the more of the blues and the greens. And so I just, kind of picked all the colors that I thought I wanted represented there. But I just love how the flowers themselves really pop in contrast to that more muted background. So I just glue all of this stuff down. I did do a little splatter of the purple while I was doing my border, just because I wanted a little bit of that purple kind of brought out as again, a bit of interest. And if you're going to do splatters in your traveler's notebook, you definitely want to give those time to dry. So I went ahead and did that early on as well. And that's about it. I'm going to do my journaling, and this was so quick and easy to come together. I really love how it turned out. There's lots of white and then all of the black, which really makes everything contrast. And I am done for today. So please like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate all of the support from the bottom of my heart. You can also use my discount code DTGen if you'd like to go purchase the Floral stamp set or Happy Tails stamp set or anything else from Wild Whisper. Save a little bit of money. And that is it for me for today. So until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.
Bye. Thanks to me. What about the channel?